Somebody asked me today, how'd you become a revolutionary? I said, I don't know, but I do know. No, they ain't born that way. Revolutionaries aren't born, they evolve. They evolve out of their anger and rage and powerlessness. It's like they have to do something or they'll burst like a balloon and disappear into the nothingness of thin air. And if you're a black woman who loves women doing your work on the front lines, your attacker has you down by 3 in the first round. Not only do you have to fight racism, but you face sexism, homophobia, and the most painful of all, rejection from the people you're out there fighting for. It's kind of like being stabbed in the heart with your own knife. But you just keep on fighting, because you know in your soul what the vision is really all about, and it's the people. All of the people. My name is Rashida X, political prisoner number C534368. I've been down about 2 years now, due to be released February 1999. I was in the middle of writing my life story when some sisters approached me about making this into a documentary. So anyway, here's my story. My name is Rashida X, but I was born Cody Johnson. And I guess you could say I was destined to be an activist. I was conceived on or around Malcolm X's birthday, born the same day as Martin Luther King, and attended my first civil rights march when I was 8 years old. My grandfather was a Black Panther, and my mama, she's a 3rd-generation Muslim. A white cop shot my father in cold blood on a case of mistaken identity when I was 12 years old. But I guess it was partially karma that took him out, since he alone was responsible for half the heroin on the streets of urban Los Angeles. The icing on the cake was when a white judge sentenced my 22-year-old brother to a minimum of 25 years over a warrant for 3 traffic tickets, of shoplifting beef when he was 15, and a bounced check that he never made good. Anger is not the word one could use to describe the pain I felt, but I was determined not to just sit around and complain. I wanted to do something. So I guess you could say the system is what made me into who I am. I didn't grow up on welfare like most of the other girls in my hood. So I knew there was life outside of having babies and waiting for the first of the month to roll around. My mama worked for the Nation of Islam during the day and worked as a switchboard operator at night. Hassan, the man who earned the right to be called my father, was a devoted Muslim who lived and breathed the religion. I loved the Nation and I loved my black brothers. But I knew I could never join the NOI, because there wasn't no way Rashida was walking 5 steps behind a man or covering up my head to prove I was worthy. Besides, my mother, warrior ancestors had proved their worth for hundreds and hundreds of years by surviving slavery and rapes and having their babies stolen. But anyway, on this day, I was scheduled to speak at the Black Leadership Conference, and I knew they'd only invited me to be politically correct. The BLC was basically a group of people who were black as long as they didn't have to sacrifice anything for the color of their skin. They weren't going to be marching for no civil rights, unless there was a photo opportunity. And they definitely weren't pissing off any government officials, because that might interrupt their federal funding. But all of that didn't matter, because it might just be one person there who was ready to hear the message. And that's who I was out there for. Well, the BLC conference ended up being one of my most powerful speeches. I talked to the brothers and sisters about waking up to the reality of racism, of sexism, of homophobia, of internalized racism, and black-white supremacy. I'm asking the people of this city if they're tired. Tired of seeing their babies gunned down with the guns and bullets that the white man brings into our community? Tired of having heart attacks from the rotten-ass meat that's delivered last to the stores in our hoods? Tired of waiting for the 40 acres and a mule that ain't and probably never will come? Y'all don't hear me. If you're really tired, I mean really, really tired, are you ready to do something? Are you? In closing, what I'm saying to the white sheet wearing, shaved head criminals hiding up under the church and family values is that the time has come to pay up. See, I ain't mad at you, I just know the truth. Being that we was already in the promised land when you took us into captivity, and now we're at the bottom of the valley waiting to exhale, there ain't nowhere but for us to go but up. So I'm gonna set it off like Queen Latifah said. And what I really want to know this evening, my sisters and brothers, is do you have my back even when the price is right? And are you ready to die so your children can have a chance to live? They done cut affirmative action, and now they're making the building of prisons for our black youth the stock investment of the era. What they're trying to create is a system for the return of slavery. And that's why I'm saying that we, the people, the Alpha and Omega, need to wake up. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! We talked about Proposition 187, which was the big thing a couple of years ago. In 2009, the Civil Rights Initiative, California Civil Rights Initiative, that had just passed, and what the repercussions of that were going to be. And the applause just enveloped the room, but the best part of it was, I guess, the sister named Angel. And that's exactly what she looked like, an angel to me, that came up to me after my speech. I never thought about being involved with a woman before. I'd always loved my beautiful black sisters, but it was something about this woman. It was something about her eyes that captured me. Well, I was very, very intrigued by Angel, and we spent most of the evening together. She stayed over the whole night, the next morning, the next day, the next week. But in between time, I guess all that teaching that I heard when I was growing up started making me think, and started thinking about sin and that it was possibly wrong for me to be with a woman. And, well, I upped and married this man that I ended up being very, very hurt by. Angel flew back to New York the evening before my wedding. It was a painful, painful night for the both of us, and it was one of the biggest mistakes that I ever made. My marriage with Khalid turned out to be a disaster, but something absolutely wonderful came out of it. My beautiful, brutally honest midget of a son, man, LaShawn. But after he was born, times got hard. His father was sentenced to a nickel, that's 5 years, in the federal pen for violating his probation, being caught riding in a stolen car, and I became the sole supporter of our family. But I got a job at Brotherhood Bookstore. Finally, I swallowed my pride and went down to the county office and applied for welfare. See, I didn't look at working and getting welfare as stealing. I looked at it as reparation. Reparation for the hundreds of years of free black labor that black people gave to the USA. And I intended on getting mine by any means necessary.
Many times the ways in which we are attacked are soft and gentle and sublime, and we aren't even aware that we are under attack. But just as the attacks can be sublime, our resistance also has been. We are uniquely impacted because we are attacked not only as women, but as African women. We are attacked at our very core. The way in which we have struggled in this country has meant that we had to fight for our literal human existence as human beings.
Things were going great in the movement. I started circulating pamphlets across the nation on white supremacy. I was working on establishing a national infrastructure to train young black leaders and promote economic empowerment. A brother named Oba had even started talk about opening up a national black financial institution. Imagine that. In the midst of all that, I stopped at Shabazz restaurant to get something to eat. And like Betty told Malcolm, revolutionaries do have to eat, you know. Anyhow, it was a rainy afternoon in LA, and I was eating dinner, and this beautiful goddess named Mianna came up to the mic and started reading poetry. Mianna was a beautiful woman. She was a mother of two, I found out later on, and a black goddess who loved other black goddesses. She also loved fragrant incense, tropical fruit in the winter, and veggie burgers and jazz. Mianna had a voice like Ella, Phyllis, and Anita, all wrapped up into one. Her eyes, they were like large bronze flames, and her Nubian locks looked majestic and royal, just like braided gold or something. And when Mianna looked at me, I melted on the inside. My heart started throbbing as well as the rest of my body. But Mianna surprised me that day. She came over to the table and introduced herself. I guess she'd seen me staring at her. I hadn't been with another woman since Angel, and I was a little taken back, but she said she saw me looking at her and that she wanted to meet me. So I told her I loved her poetry, and before I realized what I was saying, I was asking her over for lunch.
I'm Reverend Monica Woodfox of Harmony Matters Collective. My intention for our community is spirituality, finding our base, finding our culture. I think the only way for us all to come together as a collective and to make this community what we want it to be is to rekindle that creative spirit within us. We can do that in many ways, mainly by getting back to our original heritage, by cultivating those principles that you find in Kwanzaa, that you find in the Yoruba religion. We've taken too much of the European traditions.
Mother, Father, God, I know you created me in your image, and therefore I know everything about me is perfect. My blackness, my hair texture, my body, me loving black women. I believe I'm doing the work you sent me here to do, as scary as it is sometimes. So please keep those hypocritical folks out of my face so I can finish my assignment and move on to the next plane. And Oludumare, I'm asking for special protection today. I don't know, I just feel something's in the air. If this is the day I come to meet you, could you make sure Mianna doesn't meet anybody cute for at least 3 months? That was a prayer that I said and wrote in my journal the morning before I went to do the last speech. I was on my way to speak at a community meeting in the heart of South Central LA. I was really nervous about doing this speech that day. I, was nervous most of the time, but this time I was just extremely nervous. But I knew I had something important to say, and I knew that Oludumare was preparing me to be her channel. So I marched, no okay, I walked. No, I marched up to the stage like a warrior, soldier, woman, regal in my Africanness with blackitude, pure Negritian in rare form. My hair was nappy, beautiful, rough and shiny, just like my soul. I felt like I was strolling with the courage of Angela Davis, the faith of Harriet Tubman, and the strength of Audre Lorde. And even though with the success that I was having with the movement, I still felt fearful. I wasn't afraid of dying, but I was afraid of living with the cruel, harsh reality that I knew. See, I knew the day would come when they would try to kill or silence me. They are the FBI, the CIA, the government, the Klan, and the black-white supremacists. But as Audre Lorde used to say, your silence will not protect you. So I parted my lips like the Red Sea and spoke. Oh, and the people were heated up that day. They were ready to hear what Rashida had to say. They were ready to hear the truth. So I gave it to them live and in living color. Wake up! Sisters and brothers, we need to wake up. The oppression of black people is a systemized, brilliantly orchestrated business plan to annihilate our race. Simply calling it racism is like calling murder a bruise.
That's right.
I said we need to wake up and speak the truth.
That's right.
Keep right on believing that discrimination is a thing of the past. Racism is alive in everything you do. It's on your television, in your books. You deposit it into your bank accounts. Racism is in your sex life, programmed into your mind and engraved into your soul. Y'all don't hear me? White supremacy is alive and well, and some black folks are participating in the movement. See, I'm talking to you, brother, you, sister, the ones who voted yes for Proposition 187. You better start applying for your green card now, because they're going to be asking you to prove you were born in the USA. And tell me this, how does somebody steal land from somebody and lock them up for trying to come home? When it comes down to it, Americans are the damn immigrants anyway. And as soon as the ink was dry on 187, they were writing a text for 209. And they knew that people would vote and push that little button without really knowing what they were reading. I said it's a system, didn't I? But you say, Rashida, that was 400 years ago. No, it was yesterday. But was so sweet and so nice and so forgiving. And that's how we ended up shackled down on the bottom of a waterlogged coffin. Peace out. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Just as I was finishing up, the front door of the hall exploded with bamming and fists and billy clubs. They had come, and I knew it was my day to be in the darkness.
Put your hands behind your goddamn back. Lady, that was 400 fucking years ago. Get a goddamn job. Shit. This real black, put your hands behind your goddamn back. Shut this shit up.
The light would come back. And when it did, the raw blood of my ancestors would be flowing through my body. See, nothing's ever going to stop me from seeking peace. Not the jealousy of other sisters, not homophobia, unemployment, breast cancer, the FBI, or even death. But even still, the darkness is a lonely place to be. You sit there wondering if anybody on the outside is even thinking about you. And letters and visits are your only link to the real world. And if you aren't reading one or having one, you pretend nothing or nobody else exists to survive.
We often think of warriors in this struggle in terms of the notables in our history. Harriet, Sojourner, Angela, The truth of the matter is that in order to live, survive, thrive in America, we have all had to carry on the struggle, individually and collectively. We struggle in our warriors every day as we raise our children, love our partners, love ourselves, and not allow ourselves to be beat down into something other than who we are, something other than African and woman. We fight every day as we get up and go to these jobs, get up and feed our children, get up and love ourselves, get up and take care of those who love us and who we love in return. As we worship the sun and as we worship the moon, as we love ourselves, we are warriors in the struggle to survive.
Light did return, and with it came my queen, Spirit Mianna. And she embraced me with her wonderful loveliness as I came out of those stone gates of Emeryville prison for women. And I turned around and I told one of the guards as I walked out, you can't kill me, because if you did, my spirit will come back, a black, proud, revolutionary woman.
Dreams left unlived. Turn into nightmares.
Power to the people.
Ghost of your heart's desires.